Hello. This is the final part of my essay on membership, joining and leaving religious movements and organizations. This one dealing with what I see as the major sociological factors impacting conversion and deconversion. Given the enormous strength of the normal processes of socialization in most people's lives, we would expect that simple inheritance of a religious identity from one's family and local community would be the sociological norm, as indeed is the case across much of the world. By contrast, any form of conversion or deconversion goes against this common sense assumption and needs to be explained. I will discuss two major factors here which I think influence patterns of conversion and deconversion. First of all, the availability of alternatives, and then secondly, boundary maintenance and control. So the first one, the most important sociological factor underlying both conversion and deconversion appears to me to be the simple availability of alternative forms of religiosity. That is, people are more likely to change their religious beliefs and identities when they have a choice. When there is a local monopoly, everyone, or at least almost everyone, will simply follow their inherited religion, or at least pretend to do so. Three patterns of increased availability can be readily identified: those connected to resource mobilization, the development of pluralistic societies, and the development of the internet. So first of all, resource mobilization. Recruitment to a religious movement may occur when the movement organizes itself to contact and receive potential new members, for example, through advertising and missionary outreach. Other things being equal, movements which mobilize effectively are more likely to attract converts. Naturally, such conversions are likely to follow existing social linkages and communication networks. So too are any mechanisms increasing membership commitment and involvement. Secondly, pluralistic societies. These are often assumed to be a crucial characteristic of modernity, an assumption which is open to debate, and they depend on the development of a society in which different religions and worldviews can coexist peacefully with each other, and people are free to follow the religion of their choice. Thus, historically, many modern countries are relatively secular societies in which leaving or changing membership of a religion is a permissible choice, whilst traditionalistic societies have often opposed such choice and heavily penalized those who make it. Note that agencies such as the UNHCR specifically regard freedom of religion as a human right, which includes the freedoms to either choose, abandon, or change one's religion or belief system. Several countries oppose this right, however, with laws which prohibit voluntary departure from a particular religion, or the acceptance of a new one, or the adoption of atheism or non-belief. Finally, we have the internet. The developing technology of interconnected communication networks provides any participating individual with access to a vast number of online sites of information and opinion. As a consequence, individuals can be converted or have their existing beliefs radicalized online, and cyber communities can develop for those who have a particular set of beliefs. This includes groups of former members of a particular religion who may gather together for mutual support. Then we have boundary maintenance and control. I see this as the second major sociological factor which impacts patterns of conversion and deconversion. Particularly important characteristics in this regard are the openness of a religion's own boundaries and the degree of control it seeks to exercise over its members. I need to define my terms here. First of all, openness. This refers to the movement's policy towards boundary maintenance. What is the attitude it inculcates towards a relationship with other religions and religionists? Is the movement open and inclusive, seeing other religions as having their own alternative validity, or is it closed and exclusive, rejecting other religions in decisive and perhaps derogatory language? In the latter case, the group is likely to insist on sharp boundaries between its own self-perceived truths and the wrongness of alternatives. Secondly, control. Is the movement democratic or permissive, allowing its members relative freedom of action and belief, or does it have an authoritarian ethos, seeking to control its members' lives and punishing those who deviate from its prescribed norms? There are two likely patterns here. The first is that there's probably a natural tendency for open and inclusive movements to be both democratic or permissive, and for closed and exclusive movements to be more authoritarian and controlling. In these terms, movements which are both closed and controlling are likely to be more suspicious of outsiders or even openly hostile towards the people they deem unbelievers, and will seek to regulate, limit, or even ban interpersonal relations between the members, their own members, and outsiders, including sometimes family members and former friends, whilst open and permissive movements will institute few or no such barriers. I need to make two asides here. First of all, it's important to emphasize that I'm talking about religious movements and local congregations, not large translocal religions such as the various world religions. Unfortunately, it is still quite common for some people to make generalizations of the type that all Buddhists or Christians or Muslims, Hindus, Jews, or whoever have such and such a characteristic. This is a mistake. Any detailed study of any of the major translocal religions will reveal enormous diversity. None of them are monolithic entities. Secondly, religious movements and religions in general change over time. They're not static entities. There's always an historical dimension, and official attitudes towards boundary maintenance in a religion can change. Let me talk now about social impacts. In the present discussion, conversion to a closed and authoritarian movement has far more social impact than to an open and permissive one. Correspondingly, deconversion is far more fraught. Movements and groups which have an exclusive attitude towards their own truth claims and an authoritarian ethos towards their members are likely to be far more hostile towards those they regard as apostates and heretics than more liberal religious groups. The boundary line between true believers and unbelievers is already established, and the defector or critic is regarded as having crossed over that line. The attempt to exercise a high level of control over members can itself create particular problems, however, both by generating internal opposition and in situations in which control is lost. Thus, whilst a non-controlling group can tolerate a high level of internal disagreement within the movement without fissuring, or a controlling group cannot. And if there's a very marked divergence of views amongst members, this can easily lead to schism, as one side or the other seizes the mechanisms of control and expels the other, which may then establish its own rival organization and power structure, as happened historically in early Christological disputes, leading to the creation of rival churches to the Orthodox mainstream, such as Arianism. Again, when members realize that they're not allowed to express their own personal views or find them disregarded, they may leave. And groups that seek to isolate converts from the outside world, including from family members and former friends, may quickly lose those converts if that social isolation comes to an end and those social ties are re-established, a situation which is said to have occurred in several of the so-called new religious movements which emerged in the 1970s. Thank you for listening. If you like these videos, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel. I will try to answer any questions you may have about this video in a future one. By the way, those who want to support the development of the channel can also do so through my Patreon or PayPal accounts. I will give details below. You can also click the like button so that I can get an idea of which videos are of greatest interest to viewers. Have a good day. Next week I'll start a new series which will go over an old book of mine on Babi Baha'i history. Thank you.